everybody else to the Money Mindset Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Jim, and joining me today is Ryan. And I believe now, Ryan, this is take 3 of this episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Cut
fun.
it out. Let's get this cut right.
Well, listen, we're trying to be a little bit fancier and do something in a recording in person, but that didn't go over very well. So I know the live recording is still out there in the universe, but we didn't post anything on our social media account. So we're back to doing it the old-fashioned way, I guess our old-fashioned way, and hopefully to get things kind of sorted so we can go back to doing some in-person recordings. But in saying all that, today we're going to talk about getting back to reality, smart money moves for the fall of 2025. How you feeling that we're unofficially near the end of summer? Well, it's unofficially the end of summer, but almost officially we're approaching the end of summer.
My brain is still in 2024. Sometimes I can't believe we're in 2025. But yes, it is the fall, and the leaves, strangely enough, are starting to fall, which is very beautiful. But at the same time, they all land on my lawn. So please, fall, hold off for now. But this back to school and the excitement that I know parents feel sometimes, getting their kids off, having the freedom of the home back to themselves, especially those parents that work from home. But at the same time, I'm sure they all miss those little rascals from time to time. So yeah,
I think so. Mine are no longer little, so it's a little bit different. So a couple of things we're going to talk about today, because typically what happens is in the summertime, everyone kind of gets out of routine because they're enjoying the weather. They're enjoying family time and barbecues and ice cream and all those wonderful things. And then September seems to be, we got to get back to routine again. And what are some of the things we need to think about until the end of the year? So we're going to go through some of those, give some people some advice, right? And help them through, I guess, the next 3 to 3.5 months leading into Christmas. The first thing we're going to do, though, is maybe talk about some current events. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what's happening. And interest rates, the big one, right? I think next week there's going to be an interest rate announcement. What do you think? Are we getting a drop?
I think if I was betting, I would say no. I don't. I think
really
we'll get it. I think we'll get a drop later on. Too many of the other things that are going on within what we're going to talk about, whether it's inflation and the economic outlook, I just feel like they're going to hold off just a little bit longer. I know our neighbors to the south, I think, are in a rush to drop them quite significantly. Then again, we tend to follow suit with some of those things. So, but I just feel like we're going to hold off one more announcement. So
even though the experts are now like 92% chance that there's going to be a drop, you still feel that way. You're the eater on the 8%, eh?
Is it like the weatherman who's 92% never right? So
they're only right when they look out the window and they tell us what the weather's like.
Yeah, exactly. So
alrighty. Well, that's a little pessimistic on your end. You're normally Mr. Positive.
I know people would love it, but I think the outcome of having them drop and the way it reacts with interest rates and the markets and stuff like that, I don't know if we're quite ready for another drop. Again, it helps a lot of clients out. So
yeah, especially for people who have a lot of revolving debt, like adjustable or variable rate mortgages and lines of credits. Okay, well, inflation in July, inflation was 1.7. I believe inflation is going to be reported soon as well.
No.
The inflation is within the Bank of Canada's target, but it's the core inflation that's the issue right now, because it still seems to be at around that 3% mark. So I'm curious to see where things are at. Does it feel to you like things are getting less expensive, or does it feel as expensive as it was even a year ago?
I feel it's been the same, and I feel a lot of the clients are feeling that same kind of pinch in their, as we go through cash flow planning and things like that. It's really reviewing what's coming in and what's going out for their cash flows. And the cost of eggs, cost of bacon, those are some of the basic things that I always notice when it comes to when it comes to the cost of living right now. So
Yeah, I mean, fuel for a while was feeling like okay, it didn't feel so bad, but now we're seeing that price creep up again. I think I've seen 144, so that's going to have some type of impact.
Mhm.
Things like now that I'm back to grocery shopping because Carol's been away for the last 3 weeks. It'll be 4 weeks by the time she gets back at a bit of a family emergency. I've been doing the grocery shopping, and I don't have a clue of what things should cost, but what I will say is when I look at the price of steak,
Mhm.
it definitely seems like it's a lot more than I've ever remembered as well. So I think we are still dealing with some inflationary pressures.
I think you should just buy a couple cows and just have your cows roam your backyard and cut the grass so you don't have to do it. So, and just
Yeah,
rotate them. So,
yeah, and that way my mutt can like be standing at the back doorway just barking all day long. That'd be wonderful. So, economic outlook: GDP growth is slowing to about 1% for 2025, with the employment or employment unemployment rate going up, right? Because we lost some more jobs last month.
mhm.
We are now serious. I mean, I think we've been saying in recession for like 3 years now, but I think people were anticipating that we were going to be in a recession. I think now we're actually starting to see the evidence that we're teetering that point.
Mhm.
So that'll be curious to see what happens there. Government support. So there were some payments that have gone out. Canada Child Benefit, Disability Benefit, CPP, and OAS. So they're all basically rolling out at the end of this month. And then budget 2025 consultation. So I know there should be a budget in October. And what we've heard so far from the present Canadian government, it's going to be an austerity and investment budget. It kind of sounds like it contradicts itself. I don't know what you think about an austerity and investment budget.
I think the government's constantly going against what they're going to say. And wasn't this budget due back in April anyway? So their homework is well overdue. But I think one of the things going back to cash flow planning,
Mm,
I'm seeing a lot of this through client coaching sessions is just reviewing where they're currently at. You know, it goes down to like the economic outview. I'm seeing a lot of clients that are scared or preparing to lose their
mm,
jobs,
mm,
and they're starting to go through kind of cash flow planning and understanding where their their budget is, and also kind of seeing the markets as far as the housing market, because I think we're seeing some of the highest numbers of homes on the market right now. So,
yeah.
which again would go against what I just said at the beginning of the podcast, which is potential hope of interest rates to go down a little bit further, which would
Uh,
hopefully spark some of that.
yeah.
Um, but I think we've said it before. I know I've said it before, which is going back to the mortgages and the renewals that people are anticipating going, well, mortgage renewals are going up in comparison to what people started off with when they signed them 3, 4,
Mm,
5 years ago. So all
yeah.
those renewals, I think, are going to have a huge effect on our overall housing market, our outcome as far as like how people feel when it comes to their job and things like that. So again, a very important shout out to people to reach out to talk about their cash flow plan and how they can prepare for some big changes that may be happening for them. So
Yeah, and I know with people, there's some that really don't pay attention to the data, the numbers, which is fine because a lot of people don't. What I like to do, I mean, yeah, I'm a wealth advisor, so I have to have an understanding of the data. What I like to do from time to time is drive around the neighborhoods, kind of see what's going on, right? Talk to people, getting their sense of things in terms of their job, the industry they're working in. I drive around the neighborhood. I definitely see a lot more houses for sale. I
hmm,
definitely see a lot more houses that are unsold. I definitely see a lot more terminated listings and relistings of the same property at a different price point.
yeah,
Um, I don't think I've experienced this in quite a long time. Like I would say the last time I really experienced things at this level was back in 2007, 2008. So I would just encourage people, do the same thing. Drive around, talk to your friends. How are they feeling? What's the sense that they're getting? You don't really have to listen to the news and read the data to know when things are just not going very well from a financial point of view. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So let's talk about post summer money reset. First thing is audit your summer spending. So you're the cash flow coach. Cash flow coach, you take this one.
I think, again, auditing summer spending, we often recommend people go through the last 2 to 3 months worth of spending. So review your credit cards, your debit statements, those vacation splurges that we had and family visiting. I think it's a great opportunity to have a great reset and find out where some of the costs are going and how you can prepare yourselves for next year's summer. Also identifying I always say, as I've said in the past podcast, is 90 days is a great number to start looking at reoccurring subscriptions, making sure that you're able to potentially battle some of those mischarges, because 90 days is usually cut off for most credit card companies. And I saw a lot of people cutting out subscriptions like Netflix and things over the summer, and see how those unused memberships, or if they can continue to make sure that they move forward without having to use them to save, anywhere between 25 and however much money you spend on your television package. I know hockey is coming up and NFL season has kicked off, so that's always exciting. But yeah, just checking for those unexpected fees or charges. Every small amount adds up, and the last couple coaching sessions, we've discovered a couple $100. A couple $100 a month over the course of a year can really add up. So, yeah.
Well, I got to take a quick little break here because I'm seeing messages going back and forth about my son may have missed the bus. But anyways, I'm just going to keep monitoring this, and I might have to stop the recording. Going back to the summer spending, what I would say is my personal experience. I think my ice cream spend is going to be ending soon, and my hot chocolate spend is going to start again. So I kind of net out the same. My cash flow remains the same. Calories, unfortunately, different story. So next thing, rebuild your emergency fund. How important is having an emergency fund, Ryan?
I think it's probably one of the biggest important things, as we learned through something that happened to the world a couple of years back, which I won't mention, but the importance of starting that emergency fund again. And some of the easiest tips and things that you can do is really start with small amounts, make it automatic. And those are the biggest wins that you could have that are very simple. And to be able to just set a goal for yourselves as far as a saving goal towards. So 3 to 6 months, heck, if you can get up to a year, that'd be great too. And just celebrate it. Celebrate when you put that money aside and you're able to achieve those goals. So
Planning for seasonal expenses. So I think probably getting ready for school, going back to school. We're kind of past that right now, but some major costs that are coming up for people. Thanksgiving, right? That can be expensive. Halloween's another one. And what's the last one? Christmas. Right, Christmas is a big one. So I mean, we encourage people that if you have a budget for some of those holidays, to start putting money aside on a monthly basis, weekly basis, if you can. Even creating like a holiday account, right? We use virtual bank accounts, and you can have multiple virtual bank accounts, and just kind of feed those accounts. So that way, when it is time, even if you surpass your budget slightly, the bulk of the expenses covered because you've set that money aside. It's less painful doing it that way. Leveraging government benefit. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, again, looking for early bird sales, talking with family members and setting expectations early about what the spending is going to be like during Thanksgiving holiday season, looking for discounts, I started my holiday shopping because, of course, anybody who's walked into a Costco knows that apparently Christmas is already here. So, and one of the big ones that I often mention is, any needs or wants that family members have right now. We have this instant gratification, this need to give it right away. But this is a great opportunity to kind of especially if they're on sale, to buy them and hold them back, allowing yourself a little bit more for the holiday season or gift giving time. So,
Yeah. Let me just see here. So leverage government benefits. So Canada Child benefits September 19th, I believe, and the CPP and OAS usually that's the 25th of each month. Now, people use the CPP and OAS to actually subsidize their income. But Canada Child Tax Benefit, even some of the refunds that happened earlier this year. I know my daughter, she received some nice refunds and perfect time or timing because she needed new tires for her car. So she used the benefits from the government to do that. Um, so yeah, those are some of the things. Smart moves for September to December. So let's talk about debt strategy. With the rates steady at 2.75, so that's the Bank of Canada rate right now. Paying down high interest credit cards before year end. So we are seeing credit card balances, significant credit card balances, and they're up at what, 22, 24, 25%?
yeah, usually 18 to 25%, depending on the card, plus whatever potential fee that they occur, because some people have certain travel cards. So it's all things to be aware of. So
Yeah. So if you have a line of credit with room, a little bit of availability, even if you just move some of that credit card balance over to the line of credit and save yourself, it'll lower your minimum payment and it'll also lower your interest costs. That's something to consider. Investing check-in. Market volatility is likely due to trade tensions. Although we're reaching like record highs right now, right?
yep.
So consider dollar cost averaging is another one, and lump sum invest, or instead of lump sum investing, but also recheck your risk profile, right? Because what I will say is this, in our experience, and I know we've had our portfolio manager Denis, who has said the same thing. People tend to be aggressive investors when the markets are hot, like they are right now. And then when there's a major correction, all of a sudden they're conservative investors, right? So I think if you don't really know what type of investor you are, getting that check-in on the your risk profile, quarterly basis, a couple times a year, something you should consider doing.
Yeah.
Tax planning. We know a lot of people who like to contribute into the RSPs and the TFSAs, and they tend to do it January, February, right after they've spent a lot of money on the holidays, right? What's a good strategy to avoid those lump sums? And what's a good investment strategy long term when it comes to contributing to RSPs and TFSAs?
You said it before, which is making regular payments to these things. That way, it's not a lump sum. Dollar cost averaging always works out in the end. Just making sure that you're balancing between other things that are available to you, TFSAs, for those that have FHSA, first time home buyer savings accounts. Still getting used to that. And I think other things that people aren't aware of, RESPs and RDSPs, registered disability savings plans, which is something I feel like isn't talked about enough. And I've noticed a couple calls coming up over the next little bit that will be tackling a lot of more of the information that people need to know about them, because some people are able to qualify them and they don't realize they're able to take advantage of programs like that. So yeah.
And I mean, in terms of the right now, the banks are primarily offering those accounts from what we know. Not too many investment firms, but we're starting to find a couple of niche investment firms that are coming out with the offering. So we're probably going to do an episode on the RDSPs at a later date as well, just to share some of the information and details on that. Holiday savings hack. So using a sinking fund approach, kind of like what we talked about, right? Is, for example, if your budget is $1,000 for your holiday spend, and you have 10 weeks in order to get to the point where you're going to use that money. $100 a week times 10 weeks, that's $1,000. It's easier to kind of set that money aside on a weekly basis than all of a sudden trying to come up with it last minute, right?
Yeah. I think a big savings hack is what we mentioned before. And again, going back to our podcast about a year ago, just over a year ago, which is really having an honest conversation with your family about what the needs are and what the wants are going into the holiday season, and supporting each other when it comes to those sales and the Cyber Weeks and the Black Fridays and what some family members have already in their house, their ability to share, whether it's clothes, shoes, things like that. That way you don't have to buy certain things. So again, great opportunity to start reaching out some of those things. So,
well, a couple of things that my family has done around Christmas time, for example, because we have about, when we get together now, we're like 21, 22 family members between the siblings with the nieces and the nephews, and then the boyfriends and the girlfriends. So the family's grown, which is fantastic. But it becomes very costly, and some people can support it financially, and some people can't. So what we decided to do a few years ago was, once a niece or nephew reached the age of 18, like that was when they joined the Secret Santa Club, right? Okay. So I have my younger brother and sister with their spouses. So we started a little Secret Santa club between the 6 of us. And then when the first nephew reached the age of 18, we're like, okay, well, no more Christmas gifts from everybody to the 18-year-old. But now then he joined the Secret Santa Club, right? Yeah. So we've actually had a lot more nieces and nephews reach 18 because, and they've joined the club. And overall, it is less expensive for everyone, right? Because again, you're only paying for the one gift in the Secret Santa Club as opposed to all the various nieces and nephews and boyfriends and girlfriends and whatever else. So that's one thing that we did. Secondly, what we also do too is, who's ever hosting Christmas, usually they cover, some of the main dishes, like, if it's turkey or the meats and the drinks, whatever else, and then everyone else kind of pitches in almost like a potluck, right? Yeah. So that's very helpful. And then finally, Carol and I mentioned this a few times, last year, 2 years ago after Christmas, we had a chat, and I remember saying to her, I'd rather, if it was okay with her, instead of spending money on each other for Christmas, use that money and give it to a family or two, right? And she was like totally on board with that. She's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that's what we started doing is, the money that we've budgeted for each other for Christmas, we just give it to, we just donate it to a family that's in need, right? Because it's for the kids, like we still buy for our kids who are older, but holidays, and they're for the kids and for families, and that's a lot of stress for some families, trying to figure out how they're going to come up and buy their child even a $10 toy. For some people, it's like really expensive, and what can you find for $10 anyway nowadays, right? Yeah. And then finally, while we're on this topic, don't forget seniors. That's another place that we donate, and I actually might want to consider doing some kind of drive on behalf of TVH Financial to raise awareness. But there are a lot of seniors right now in assisted living locations, retirement residences, that don't really have family or friends to come visit over Christmas. Yeah. They don't get any gifts, right? So we actually put together, Carol and I, she does most of it. We put care packages, and there's a group down the street from us that will take them and actually distribute them to the elderly. So that's something to consider as well, if you're able to, right? Yeah. All right, money, or the mindset. I can't speak today. Mindset shift. So maybe because I'm still in vacation mode, because it says vacation mode to growth mode, right? So set one financial goal for the next 90 days. An example, if you want to save $500, over the next 90 days, or $1,000, whatever that number is, set that goal and take the steps to try to achieve that goal. You'll feel good about it, like when you do meet that goal, right? Another one, for example, Ryan, would be pay off a credit card.
Credit card, yeah. Yeah. Pay off credit card.
You're mesmerized by my sound and my eyes.
Yeah. It
All
was
right, pay off the
just a
credit
short
card.
few days ago. We were sitting across the room from each other. It's still a wow
Yeah,
factor.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
All right, all
obviously,
right, all right.
yeah, paying off credit card is an important part as we go into the Q4.
Yeah,
I would say, we're going to talk about accountability tips too,
yeah.
and being able to share your goal with friends, family, things like that.
Mm,
But it's a big one, which is like a year-end financial check-in, and I would say make this your year-end financial check-in. No better way to go through probably the hardest time of the year, kind of that last 3 or 4 months of the year with all the spending, is to do a financial check-in with your advisor. If you don't have an advisor, reach out to us.
yeah,
If you do have an advisor and hasn't reached out to you, reach out to us.
yeah.
But we can kind of walk you through the steps of how to change that mindset and help
Mm,
support and embrace, again, change and learning, which is a belief for ourselves, is helping people learn to overcome some of these financial mindsets they seek, and how
yeah,
to potentially challenge the limiting beliefs, and invest in their future with education. So, yeah.
yeah. And the last one, so accountability, and this one is kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because we've had episodes in the past where we're like, don't get investment advice from your neighbor or your friend because what works for them may not work for you. But now we're
Mhm.
saying here, in terms of accountability, share your goal with your with a friend or a family member to be accountable, right?
Yeah, and be very selective on who you decide to share, because
Yeah,
if that person isn't, uh, if your neighbor isn't us, then you could be talking with somebody that doesn't have the same beliefs or goals that you have, and that's
yeah,
kind of joining the right community. You know, being able to find the right partner to be accountable to talk about transparency, to
mhm,
be vulnerable with. Really, we've talked about this in the podcast about breaking the silence about money and the financial talk, but
yeah,
and that accountability comes with steps, right? Being action oriented and setting those goals, whether it's paying off a credit card, or if you're trying to pay off a credit card and all your friends or your neighbors want to do is go out and drink beer and spend money at restaurants, um, then you're not going to get any further ahead. So it's surrounding yourselves with the right people along that way. So, yeah.
yeah. So give me their number, so I'll join them on your behalf, so you
Yep.
won't be tempted. I'll take the bullet. I will go and drink the beer for you,
Yeah.
right?
We're talking about mastering their own mindset. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Well, Ryan, um, how did this feel to you? It's been a while since we did a recording because we took a bit of a break in the summertime as well, right?
yeah.
I don't know what you did, but I enjoyed some ice cream and some beer and barbecue.
Mm.
But yeah, this felt all right. Kind of feels we're a little rusty, kind of like preseason, right?
Yeah.
We're at training camp right now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll get back into the full swing. We'll be mid-season form in no time.
Yeah. We got offered a part-time tryout or something, yeah, for the team.
Yeah, yeah,
I think one of the things, and I heard this on a podcast, or maybe I'm just smarter than I think, but it was something. Things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things that matter least. And if
right.
your financial mindset, your financial goals are top of mind, and you want a supportive team that's going to help you get you there,
Yeah,
we're the people to come talk to about
yeah,
supporting your cash flow, having a great attitude, and really making sure that you're getting sound advice.
yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Well, there will be just kind of on a side as it relates to TVH Group, where we're TVH Financial, part of TVH Group. We're in a new location. We just officially moved in there middle of August. We're just waiting for some signage to show up because people are having a hard time finding us without the signage. But we are at 250 Young Street on the 27th floor, Suite 2702.
mhm.
And hopefully, again, that's where we're going to be doing some of our recordings as well, trying to build a bit of a studio there. So that's some news as it relates to the business side of things.
Yeah.
We're switching to every other week in terms of our episodes, our recordings. There will be situations where, again, if there's like a current event happening, or Ryan and I really miss each other and we have to have a recording or do a recording, we might throw an additional one here or there. But for now, we're going to be looking at every other week. So if you are looking for some of our content and our information, YouTube, we have our YouTube channel, right? We have multiple Facebook pages, we have LinkedIn pages, Twitter, TikTok, our website. So there are different areas that you can find content. And if you decide you want to watch the content, you can. If you decide you want to hear the content, you can. If you decide you want to read about it, we have a blog post as well. We're making it easy for everyone. So if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, if you like what you read, we encourage people to do what, Ryan?
Like, share, contact us.
Yeah.
Share, subscribe.
Go.
So.
All right. You're back in focus again. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, I think this was a good episode. Enjoy being back on it again. And until next time, everyone, take care.
Take care.